So one of the main questions that I'm always asked is, how do you do a successful turnaround? Well, I've been in the business of turnaround and restructure for around 15 years now. And I'm not gonna lie, I've pretty much seen it all. So rather than sit here and tell you what makes a successful turnaround, I thought I'm going to tell you what makes a very challenging turnaround. So there are two key hurdles that you're going to be faced with in any business transformation or turnaround. And that is the cultural mindset of the organization. Resistance to change is probably one of the most challenging aspects of any turnaround that you're going to come across. Because quite simply, without the buy-in of the organization, without that change and that shift in the mindset to want to make that difference, it's not really going to happen. So how do you go about changing that mindset? How do you go about gaining that buy-in, making that transformation possible? Because let me tell you, it's certainly not a one-man show, right? When you're going in and expecting to make that difference, you're going to need the teams, the entire organization, be it 3 people or 3,000 people, to help you, to enable you to do that, to enable you to do your job. More often or not, the reason for this resistance that you will undoubtedly face is because the businesses themselves have turned into silos, interdepartmental silos, where they're no longer communicating with each other, where it's almost survival. So how do you handle something like that? How do you handle resistance? Well, you handle it face on. Brutal, honest conversations that then bring the team together, opening those communication, making sure that you're not allowing for that barrier. It's not comfortable for them. They're not used to it. But pretty soon you do it enough, you bring those teams together, you have open conversations, that's going to change. Of course, with that, you're building trust. You have to gain the trust of the business. That's crucial to any successful turnaround. Now, the second biggest challenge for me is actually the management, founders, the CEOs, the chairmen, whoever's the leader of that organization that I'm coming in to help. Without their buy-in, that's an impossible task, because if the business themselves don't see that the founders, the owners, the business heads, the business leads themselves are contributing to this turnaround, then it's almost an impossible task. And trust me, I've been in businesses where the resistance hasn't come from the team, hasn't come from the organization itself. They've been desperate for that change. It's actually come in from the key principal stakeholders. So I make it crystal clear to anybody that I work with or any projects that we take on. If you as a founder, as a business owner, as a business lead, not going to enable it, then it's really not worth doing, because you cannot expect any sort of success if it's top down, not happening, if you're not actually showcasing to your employees that you want that change and you're still resistant yourself. You're not open to critiquing, constructive critiquing. You're not open to discussion. Then how is it possible for anyone to transform a business? So 2 key challenges: cultural mindset, organizational mindset, and changing that, and then getting the principal stakeholder value. Without those 2 things, practically impossible to do. So how do you do that? Well, for me, it's always been about honest conversations. You're not going in there to tell them what they want to hear. You're going in there to tell them what they need to hear. And there's a massive difference between those 2. My job is to tell you facts, and then my job is to help you fix that. But I cannot do my job without your buy-in, without the team buy-in, without the leadership buy-in. The other thing is, it just doesn't happen overnight. You can't go in expecting a transformation to happen in 5-6 weeks. It took you years to get into the position that you're in, months to assume that this will happen overnight, because it simply doesn't. So when you're looking to do a turnaround or transformation, you need to ask yourself before you take on anyone, am I ready myself for that change? Because with turnaround and transformation equals change. So make sure that you yourself, your business, your organization, your leadership is completely bought into that fact. Make sure that they're ready to be honest and transparent to their team. Because guess what? The business knows you're in trouble. Your teams already know that. They see it every day. So you're not hiding the truth. They're living the truth, because together is where you're going to see that difference. Together, you're going to turn around that business. But you need to be that leader who is honest with yourself and ask yourself a key question. Am I ready for change?